There is an old folk tale from Europe that has in it a very curious superstition. A certain rabbi knew that he was dying. As the end of his life approached, he called his unmarried son to come and visit him. The boy's mother had long been dead, and when the rabbi died, the boy would be alone in the world. "My son," the rabbi said, "the end is coming for me, and I have a warning to give you before I go." And he said what seems to us the strangest thing. "There are certain people," the rabbi told his son, "that you should not mix with. Stay away from them. And the people of whom I speak are those who are red-headed. Red-headed people," he told his son, "are deceitful." It seems that people with red hair were so uncommon in that place that the rabbi and everyone else for miles around thought they were strange and should not be trusted. The rabbi's son wanted to honor his father, especially his last wish, and so the son agreed that he would avoid people who had red hair. After the rabbi's death, his friends came to the rabbi's son and said, "The time has come for you to marry. There is a very rich man in a nearby town, and his daughter is very beautiful. The two of you would make a wonderful match." And so, hearing this, the rabbi's son agreed to meet the young woman who lived in the nearby town. When they met, the boy was smitten at once, for this young woman was extremely beautiful. As they talked, the boy thought this must be the most perfect woman in all the world. "I would marry her this very day." But as you might have guessed, this very beautiful young woman had red hair. To honor his father, the son at first refused to marry this beautiful young woman with red hair. In time, however, he could not deny his love for her, and so he returned to the neighboring village and asked for her hand, and when her father agreed, the rabbi's son told him that he did have one condition. "What is it?" the girl's father asked. "For 10 years, the young man said, "you will provide a place for me and my bride to live. My father was a poor rabbi and did not leave for me a house when he died." "Of course," said the girl's father, "you may live here in part of my house with me and my wife." He said this, although in truth the house in which he lived was barely large enough for those who lived there now. The rabbi's son and the red-headed daughter were married and settled into living with the woman's family. They were very happy and very much in love. But 10 days after the wedding, the woman's father said to the rabbi's son, "You and my daughter must leave now and find your own place to live." "But you have not fulfilled your promise," his son-in-law said. "We have been here only 10 days, not 10 years. His wife's father replied, "In the Holy Scriptures, the same word is used for days that is used for years. I have fulfilled my promise," he said. "Now you must move out." The rabbi's son did not know what to do, but he did know of a very wise man who lived back in his hometown. To that man he went and poured out his story. The wise man listened and then said, "Go to your father-in-law and say that you have decided to divorce his daughter. This will bring shame on him, so he will ask you how you can do this after so short a marriage. When he asks," the wise man said, "you tell him this: According to Jewish law, a man may divorce his wife if she does not give birth within 10 years of their marriage. You have said that days and years are the same, so I am merely following the law." And this is what the rabbi's son did. His father-in-law began to plead with him not to divorce his daughter and bring shame on their family. At last, the rabbi's son agreed he would not divorce his wife, whom he loved very much, but he would require that his father-in-law fulfill the terms of his promise. He would ask no more than this. And so, the rabbi's son and his red-headed wife lived happily for many years in the house of her father. In time, his father-in-law and mother-in-law came to the end of their days, and the rabbi's son and his wife lived together for many more years in that house, and it was there that they raised their family. His wife, who had never been deceitful a day in her life, died before him, and when the rabbi's son came near to the end of his life, he called to his bedside his own son, who himself had bright red hair. "This house will soon be yours," he said. "Find a good wife whom you can love, perhaps one who has the same color hair that you have. For in my experience, people with red hair are the very best sort of people. But," he said, "be warned that there are deceitful people in the world. Your own grandfather was such a man. Do not be like him. And as much as you can, avoid people who are deceitful. And you, my son, be true and not false in your own life." And the son followed the father's teaching all the days of his life. Perhaps they both would have liked the words of a Jewish prophet who, long after them, was heard to say, "Let your yes be yes, and your no, no." For what could be better in all the world than being not deceitful, but always true? Amen.